Hello, everybody. Welcome to Macro Talk 2. This is Alan. Hi, Art. Thanks for the message. I was just typing a response when the song ended. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. This is round 2 of viewer feedback today. That's only going to take up a short part of the day, followed by a collection of useful trivia for photographers to fill in the rest of the time. Just a light-hearted low content meeting today, but it should be fun. Today is our 300th live stream. Can you believe it? It's only been 3 years since we did our first 2 live stream week, and yeah, this is our 300th show today. I'm pretty impressed that we went that far. I didn't even realize we'd passed 200, but there you go, 300 today. Saturday, July the 12th, 10 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 or thereabouts. It is After Stack with Bud Parrott and myself. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be good. And as soon as I know, I'll let you know. The invitation is over on my website in my blog post that you should have received or seen over on Discord. It's in there. You can go to my website, www.alanwallsphotography.com/blog/whatever I called it this week, but it'll be the latest blog. And your invitation is in there. It's free. It's all about post-processing, and it's always fun. It's always good. There's always something to learn. An update briefly on my interview with Kelly Bosch. I told you 2 weeks ago it never happened because her canine was ill and had eye surgery, and then had a complication and was back in surgery on the day we were supposed to meet, so we didn't meet. Well, last week it was actually Kelly herself that wasn't doing well and couldn't get away from her medical stuff to do the interview, so we didn't do it last week either. And I'm just going to wait for her to get in touch with me, and we'll do it at a time that's convenient for her. For those of you who've been waiting for that, I apologize for the rescheduling, but this is the way things happen. There is a new macro rail coming to the world, or coming to America, definitely. It's a piece of equipment being developed by a company named Pictomic. I think that's how you pronounce it, Pictomic. It's based in New Jersey, and it is probably going to be the first really direct competitor, domestic competitor to the Stackshot. The company has a long history of producing really high quality, top end macro and product studio photography equipment. So they're not new to the game, they're just new to the focus stacking game. I anticipate having one in my possession for testing when I get back from my break next week. And what break, you said? I heard you say that. I'm going on break. I'm going to be out from Wednesday, July 23rd until Monday, August the 4th. That's 1 week and a day or two for traveling on either end. That is going to cover 1 macro talk, 2 macro talk 2s, 1 per Zoom, and 1 after stack. So anything that's what I do in a normal week. So it's a week's worth of stuff that you won't have. I'll be gone then from the Wednesday the 23rd, 1 week, and then I'll be back. And when I get back, we're probably going to be doing things a little differently depending on what happens today. Because today I want to get your feedback on what we're doing with the live streams, how we do all of our stuff on the programming on the channel. And now is your chance to tell me whatever you think we could be doing better. This all started when a trusted and respected member of our community brought to my attention the fact that some people were maybe a little less thrilled about the way content was being produced on the live stream channels. In other words, there was too much content packed into 50 minutes without me having time to monitor questions and address concerns as we went along. And I think that's a very, very legitimate complaint. When we first started out, there was virtually no content in these sessions, and they were just fun. And then as I kind of got the figuring out of everything done, it let me start that sentence again, please. After I figured out all the technical stuff, I decided that this was the better way to go, was to follow your suggestions and put some blocks of good content in there. Now that's all I do, is twice a week, 50 minutes of content each meeting. And yeah, it's been working, I think. We've covered an immense amount of ground, and I have a lifetime of topics that I can discuss into the future. But what we did on Tuesday, and many thanks to Alistair, without whom we couldn't have done this on Tuesday, because Alistair kept track of the comments and collated all of the information and put it in a document that he sent to me, allowing me to really understand what happened with the chat. We're going to do the same today. So I would respectfully ask that for the first probably 20 minutes of this program today, if you could avoid using the chat for chatty stuff, so that it doesn't, so signal doesn't get lost in the noise. And then after we get through with this section, yeah, you can knock yourselves out with the chat. But in the just to help Alistair, so that he doesn't have to sort through extraneous conversation to get to the recommendations, requests, and comments. So here's the deal. This is kind of like an opinion poll. I came up with 5 potential changes to the programming that I thought would be helpful in addressing the concerns that had been raised, that would also leave me enough time to present the amount of material that I think I need to. I'm going to give you those 5 in just a second, and that is to save you time. If you hear one of these 5 that just say, oh, that's exactly what I think we should do, then all you have to do is tell Alistair you want number 3 registered for your name, and then Alistair will take that information for me. So most of the people are probably going to select option number 5, which is you have a better idea and you're going to tell me what it is. So we'll see how that goes out. Let me see. This is also your opportunity to make any other suggestions or recommendations, any ideas you have. Make them succinct so that they'll fit in the chat, and we can, if you say something that gets my mind going, we can always catch up with you later and discuss. But if you have any other ideas outside of the ones I suggest, by all means, make them. I do this for the audience that watches it. I don't do this for myself. I certainly don't. I love doing it, don't get me wrong, but I do it for you, so I plan the programming around what I think will be best for my audience. If you aren't enjoying it, or if it's not meeting your needs, then I am not doing a very good job of serving you. So this is why every once in a while we pause long enough to do this. And because this is show number 300, I thought good a time as any. With me being gone for a few days, it'll let me get my head around everything. But when I come back, we'll do whatever we decide. So the 5 alternatives that I suggested were number 1, to do nothing, to basically just leave the programming the way it is. And just in case there was any confusion at all about what that is, it is 2 shows during the week, one in the evening, for mostly aimed at the US audience, 8 o'clock until 9 o'clock on Tuesday evening. The second one, of course, is this one from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock Central Time, so that it gives that ideal time block to the European viewers. At each of those sessions, I do a block of content live that is about 50 minutes in length, that usually fills that 50 minutes with little room, if any, left over. If there is room left over, I circle back and I read the comments. Of course, it's hard to read the comments when I'm I don't have the context of what came before in the conversation, but that's the way I've been doing it. Number two, if you don't like that, is to try 2 live streams, but instead of having 2 separate live blocks of content, the suggestion was made that I do a block of recorded content, maybe a shorter block, maybe only 20 minutes or 25 minutes, that was pre-recorded. And that same block of content would be used on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it would be run live, not live, the recording would be played during the live stream while I communicate with you about what we're talking about. Logistically, it wouldn't be too difficult to set up. As far as the recording of the content goes, I wouldn't, that would be fine with me. It would involve some editing that I don't have to do now, but that's neither here nor there. The problems with that possible solution is that I hate the thought of folks who try to come to both meetings hearing the same piece of content. That would be problematic, I think. But that's number two, is one pre-recorded content block at both sessions, which we're leaving at the same time for now. And I'm there answering your questions, pausing the recording to answer questions live the whole way through. So I'm constantly communicating with you through chat and by interrupting the recording. So that's number two. Number three, let's abandon the 2 live streams and go to 1 live stream and do it, say, Thursday. But instead of having just the 1 hour block, we make it a long live stream, maybe an hour and a half, even 2 hours. Now, in that one, I would probably do live content, but I would have breaks every 15 minutes to chat and ask questions and respond to comments. That would give people, it would be a less formal kind of event that people could drop in and out of, and I would try to do it in the middle of the day so that that our European guests weren't having to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do it. So that's number three, is a 1 long live stream in the middle of the week. Number 4, 2 streams with different live content. So almost what we're doing now. The only difference is I would have absolutely rigid cutoffs, say every 10 minutes, when I would stop, review comments, and answer questions as we go along. The problem has been, of course, that people who aren't quite following what I'm talking about, but are interested in knowing, want to ask a question, and I might not get to that question until the end, and I might not even see it then. And that is a real problem. Now we have a system. I know that when Alistair puts or Bud or Amy puts a suggestion up there from one of the viewers, it will be flagged in orange on my screen, so I can get to those pretty quickly. But that would be a way for us to keep things largely the same, but for me to get engaged with you earlier in the process. The thing is, when I start chatting with you, it's easy for me to get stuck into the conversations and away from the material, and I do think that it would be remiss of me to get through the whole thing without answering your questions, and that's very important. A word on content. There's a comment here today from Bud, actually, getting back to bugs. He recommends or suggests more videos with the walkabout stuff with the camera, and let me see, current techniques with insects, so bug photography. This whole channel was built on bug photography, and after several years, 6 years now of doing it, I think that there is a tendency for me to look for other interesting related content that kind of augments and embellishes the whole macro photography experience. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of you who came here initially for bugs and would like bugs all the time. There's no way I'll ever be doing it all the time. I would run out of ideas if that's all we did. You know, I do try to do plenty of bug stuff, and during the year, I'd say at least 30% of it is. Yeah, so that's point is well taken, and that's one that I'll consider as we go forward. But if you have suggestions about the week-to-week programming, the events that we do, and you can also add any comments you have about Afterstack, Tangent, or this. The Pazoom type comments we can deal with over in Pazoom. They're a different matter. But anything you have for me today, let's get it in there. And if you have any questions, let's ask them and get them answered now, so that you can give me your thoughts, because I know that you won't want to think about this after today, but it would be nice for me to be able to make a decision. It's hard for me to say after Tuesday exactly where the group is leaning, but I think that after today I should have enough information to make a reasonable guess. So let me see if there's anything of great importance I should look at. And welcome everybody. It's good to see everybody here. Oh, how interesting. Angie says, let me see. I would like to volunteer as a judge for the reptile and frog competition. Yeah, I know you, Angie. It was looking at one of your frog pictures that made me think, you know, reptiles and amphibians would be quite the thing to do this month. So yeah, I would be honored. Thank you. And well, it's underway right now. We've got about a week thereabouts left in the competition. No, it's a bit more than that. 2 weeks. I went over on Monday all the places you could find reptiles and some resources that you could use if you were going to actually go out in the woods to look for them. I've got a YouTube channel you need to go check out where you can watch this guy go out there and catch reptiles all day long. If you follow his techniques, you'll have no trouble at this time of year finding them. It's NKF Herping, by the way. NK, Nigel, Kevin, his name's Noah. I should have used his name, shouldn't I? NKF, F as in Freddy, Herping, Herping. That's the name of his channel on YouTube. Go there, check him out, and you'll be an expert in just a few days. Super enjoyable guy to watch too. He's very good at what he does. But most of the stuff that you could photograph would be easy to find at a zoo, even a pet shop, or a friend who keeps these things and raises them, like Angie, maybe would let you take a picture of one of her lizards. I don't know. They're not lizards, are they? They're frogs that you have. So there would be that. You can catch anoles, green anole lizards, and geckos around your house if you live in the south. They tend to just crawl around outside. You can find them everywhere. Salamanders under rocks in wetlands. Go in the woods, look for a pond, go around the pond and flip rocks over. You'll find snakes and salamanders doing that. Probably shouldn't touch any snakes unless you know what you're doing. Few of them are poisonous, of course. What else? Frogs, frog spawn, toads, ponds. Look for ponds in the woods and you will find frogs. You'll hear them, and if you look carefully, you'll find them. Toads, they're everywhere. Out in the woods, look at the ground. Don't look up in the trees. They don't live up there. Tree frogs do, but not toads. And what am I forgetting? Tortoises, turtles, the like of those things. Go to the zoo and they'll have a gigantic tortoise and you can photograph that. Or you'll find box turtles and little stream turtles everywhere. So got it? Got the rough idea? Go over to NKF Herping. He'll help you. And okay, that was that. So Angie, I'm thrilled to bits. I will get in touch with you. I'll be back in country by the 4th, maybe the 3rd of August, and we'll try to figure out a time immediately thereafter that we can get together and do a judging video. Excellent. Thank you for volunteering. Okay. Any more comments? So we got the Back to Bugs comment. We got the Angie's comment. Congratulations from Joseph, presumably on the 300th show. Joe's here for coin photography. You know what? We have never done coin photography as a topic. What a brilliant idea. Well done, Joseph. I'm going to actually write that down right now, because we could do a series of videos on that. It's a whole different world, coin photography. We'll do it. Well done. Good idea. Let me see. No coins. Yay, 300. Congratulations. Congratulations. I didn't get one of those YouTube plaques, so I'm going to make one myself. Probably a rule against that. All right, let me see. Pictomic, says Joseph, like atomic, but with a pick. Exactly, exactly. I really, really like these guys. I wrote a letter to them asking for information about their device. I mean, just really out of the blue. They'd never heard of me, and I asked about 15 questions. It was one of the longest emails because I had all of this technical information I wanted to get about their rail. And it was the owner of the company that got back to me and very completely and thoroughly answered all of my questions. It turned out in that conversation, I discovered that they're very early on in their development process. So we'll be talking more about what's coming and what they're making. But it's very exciting because there's some things I'm not allowed to talk to you about that I think are going to change the lay of the land for everybody who uses this equipment. So very good stuff, that. Let me see. It is spelled Pictomic, like atomic with a pick. These people have been around for a long time. They make these wonderfully engineered rotating platforms that are used for a lot of 360-degree product photography. That type of equipment, that's what they make. But this is them branching out into something more technical. So it's very interesting. Let me see. Everybody agrees with the idea of Angie doing the reptiles and amphibians with us. That sounds great. Show 300. Hard to believe. Greetings, Pierre. David, thank you for everything you do. And I think we are... anyone know who the administrator is on Discord? Michelle, I believe. Alistair, is that correct? I think so. I may be wrong if that's changed. There are a couple. I'll get with you after the program. Okay. All right. I'm not actually reading the responses yet because it'll confuse me, and we're almost ready to jump into the second part. But Alistair is collating all of this information. Hybrid of 1 and 2 at same times, but sprinkle in some recorded content with questions. Interesting. Like a channel just to figure out Discord. Okay, another channel, you mean? I can't do another channel. I'm already got too many channels as it is. Birefringence Photography, says Harold Hall, would definitely be interested. Okay, you know what? I think a couple more crystal videos are in order too. I've got some new stuff that I want to turn you guys onto as well. So yes, Larry is also a moderator, I believe, over on um, Discord. Michelle Cox and Potato Puggy Dog, who I haven't seen around in a little while. Okay. A lot of burning bugs advice again. Let me see. Mollusks. I'm not sure that I follow that comment. Just the word mollusks by itself, was it in answer to a question? No, it was a question to me. Mollusks. Okay, I'll have a dozen oysters, please. You haven't done bug meat plasma arc, bug in hydraulic press, bug sandwiched between sheets of glass, bug blasted by laser. No, I haven't done any of those, but I'm getting to them. Sometime in the next 50 years, I'll get to those. Photographing mollusks would be, yeah, that would be fun. That's more of a competition theme, but you know, there is some stuff there to learn. You know what the ranula is? I think it's a ranula. A lot of mollusks have this thing that's like an opened up jawbone, or a grater that's inside their gullet, and it's what they spread their food on. And it photographically, it's very weird. It looks like something out of the Alien movie. But yeah, mollusks would be fun to photograph. All right. Will, more short videos and demos with discussions after, which really begs the question of whether an hour is long enough to do that, because demos always take a while to get through. Well, we'll figure it out. Stamps. Let's put stamps in with coins, seeing as they are similar concepts. Stamps, I would have to believe, are a little easier to photograph than coins. Do a survey, Zeno asks, of what magnifications, 1 to 5, 10, 20, that viewers want to see covered in the live stream. Yeah. Okay, if you have strong feelings, if you have a preference for magnification, for a given magnification range that you would like more information about, mention it in your note here. Just jot it down. Just if you just use the X, put a number and then X, we will register that as a viewer's interest in learning more about that magnification. I generally don't look at things magnification wise. Obviously magnification is important, but I tend to think about subjects and then use whatever magnifications we need to evaluate or photograph the subjects. But I get your point. There's a big difference between shooting 1:1 and 5x and 20x. They're different mindsets, different equipment, different approach. So yeah, we'll do it right now as we're going. All right. Somebody was asking about the zoo, about going to the zoo to photograph snakes or other reptiles. Yes, I gave you 2 tips on Tuesday. I'm going to repeat them today. Take a rag, a clean rag, and a little spray bottle of Windex with you in your camera bag. Get permission, if at all possible, to take your tripod into the reptile house. Promise them you aren't going to open it all the way up. You're just going to keep it more like a monopod, and you'll stay out of everybody's way. And then when you find what you want to photograph and you can see it, you want to position yourself pretty much directly in front of it, because of the way the light's going to go through that glass, and then clean off that piece of glass with the Windex until it's nice and clean. And then the trick is put your camera lens right up against the glass. I have this thing, it's a collapsible lens hood that is rubbish as a lens hood, and I never use it for that. But it's soft and rubbery, so when it collapses, it makes a seal against the glass, and it's black. So that's a great way to eliminate reflections, and it greatly sharpens the image. So that's how you get around photographing through glass. Clean the glass, get up against it, all the way up against it. You can use a lens hood to get up against it, or a grommet like I do, or just your lens. Just be careful that you don't, most macro lenses are pretty recessed, but just make sure you don't smash your glass into their glass. Okay, David Brown, forgive my suggestion, but I think your YouTube macro instruction videos are exceptional, and they answered so many questions I had. I'd love you to do more tutorials. Okay, you know what the thing is about this channel with almost 600 videos, there isn't much I haven't addressed. So I know that some of it's getting old and dated now, and I could certainly do a better job. But most topics I've covered and covered and covered again. But if that's what we need to move towards, I can certainly do that. I love doing those. I mean, it's what I started this for. Yeah, more tutorials. Good point. And it will be added into the mix. Best tip at the Reptile House is a rubber lens hood. I believe I just said that. So Joseph and I are on the same page. All right. Let me see. I'm looking forward to looking over these. Graham says 2 different half-hour recordings, live stream style, no editing. Played during live streams and chat questions answered in text, or if required, recording interrupted with verbal answers. Okay. Live stream style with no editing. I can certainly do that. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, well, that's number, what was that? Number 2? Yeah, that's number 2. So there's a strong vote for that second suggestion. Good, okay. Susan is here. Greetings, Susan. Susan likes number 1, which is just don't do anything else. Just change the topics, okay? Always change the topics. I try to keep them coming. We're going to change the topic right now. Hang on a sec. Here's something that needs to be addressed. I'm not seeing the July update on the Walls app. Oh, for the competition, Harold? It should be taking you to my website, which should have it on there. I'll deal with that. Let me know, Harold, in the chat, if that is the competition you're talking about, or if there's something else on the Walls app. I'm going to put an announcement on the Walls app about me, the dates I'm gone. But if there's something else that you think needs to be there, be specific, and I'll go over there and fix it. I noticed many different topics in macro photography, various subjects, magnifications, and techniques. Isn't that the best part? Revealing tiny, often overlooked details? I think so. That's very interesting to me. I mean, that's why I do it. Anyway, here's some stuff today that is really to arm you for the next photography trivia competition you end up in, which is probably you've never have. But this will be good stuff for you to chit-chat about next time you're at dinner with a photographer. Everybody knows Cartier-Bresson, right? He's a scruffy-looking French gentleman, a street photographer. He was the guy that came up with this concept of the decisive moment, of getting that photograph just at the magical moment when something cool was happening. Well, back in the day, I mean, way back in like 1953 or something, Henri was out there taking pictures and was working on a project, and he lost a roll of film. How he knew he lost a roll of film, I don't know, because I'm sure he had a lot of them, but a roll of film went missing. And Years later, it was actually not more than 10 years ago, I think, a roll showed up in a flea market in Paris that was supposedly marked as correctly for it to be this missing roll of film from Henri Cartier-Bresson. And the pictures turned out to be spectacular. And it caused an immense stir in the art industry, in the photography market in general, that these missing Cartier-Bresson photographs were they were going to change the history of art. People were getting really excited about it, and it took quite a while before somebody noticed and pointed out that there was a little digital timestamp on each one of the photographs. Yeah, they were digital photographs. It was a scam of some type. Anyway, got the art world stirred up. If you hear anybody talking about the missing Cartier-Bresson images, there weren't any. So even Cartier-Bresson wasn't shooting JPEGs in 1953. So you've all heard of Ansel Adams, right? He did something that I wouldn't recommend you try, but I'm glad somebody tried it. He was on a trip to Yosemite in 1937, and he went with a friend apparently, and he had built a makeshift darkroom so he could produce all of his photographs out there in the field. And they had some bad habits back then of what they would do in the darkroom, like eating breakfast and stuff like that. But apparently, Ansel had a whole series of negatives that had been developed, or they were in the process of being developed, when this person that was his buddy that was hanging with him during this week dropped his pancakes onto the films that as they were getting developed, and got maple syrup all over them. You know, pancake syrup. And Adams, apparently a very resourceful man, just kind of rinsed them off, redeveloped them, and reprinted them, and was heard saying that they were way better than they were before they were covered in breakfast. So he believes that the pancake syrup treated photographs were more luminous than the originals. So just saying, if you drop your Z8 into the your omelette, don't throw it away. It might be the best thing that ever happened to you. So I told you breakfast was the most important meal of the day. There's a phone, the Razr Ultra. You heard of it? It's out this year. It's a Motorola phone, and I read an article where it had won a 200 photograph photo shootout, and it apparently won as the best close-up and macro camera in a 200 shot series of images that were looking at things like leaf vein detail and super close-ups. And I was quite impressed and thought, well, that might be one to look out for, until I realized that the camera that it was competing against was also a Razr. It was an old one from 2024. So basically the whole article was just saying, yeah, Razr's got a new phone and it's better than their old one, which you would expect it to be, wouldn't you? So apparently it's a nice phone, but yeah, I don't know how it would stack up against your iPhone. Did you know this? During the Apollo missions between 69 and 72, the astronauts were given these $10,000 Hasselblad cameras that were specially custom set up for lunar photography. Who knew what lunar photography would involve? But anyway, they were 10 grand a piece. And you know that there are over a dozen of them sitting on the moon. As far as I know, they're free if you want to go get one. I don't know what would happen if you borrowed a Hasselblad from the moon, but they did that to save weight for the trip back. they couldn't carry them all back, so they left them there. And after a few years, they were up to 12 of them. There was one that they were going to bring back, and it nearly made it back, but I can't remember which mission it was. One of the last ones, but the camera was strapped onto the astronaut's belt with a Velcro strap, and during one of those EVAs where they walk around in space, the thing got caught on something and pulled loose, and his Hasselblad just went floating off into space. So it's in low lunar orbit still. So if you find yourself up that way, look around in the orbit of the moon and you might find a Hasselblad. I'm pretty sure you can safely take that one and not get in any trouble, because yeah, after a while, surely that's fair game. A photographer, David Slater was his name, and this was back in 2011. He's a nature photographer. He ended up in a lawsuit with a monkey. Can you believe this? The man, he was taking pictures in Indonesia and did something incredibly stupid, if you ask me. No offense, David, if you hear me say that, but he left his camera in the jungle and went off to have lunch or something. Who would leave a camera in a jungle? Not me, not me. And while he was gone, a macaque, which is a kind of monkey, apparently the kind of monkey that does a lot of photography, I guess. His name was Naruto, the monkey was, and he walked over and picked up the camera and took pictures of himself, a bunch of pictures of himself. And one of them went viral. I think it was in National Geographic or something. It was the monkey taking his own picture. And Slater, the photographer, tried to copyright the image because he saw an opportunity to make some money off this, which is true. But an animal rights group sued on behalf of the monkey, saying that no, it's Naruto's picture. He took it, which is a good point. But the courts ruled that animals, except us, can't hold copyrights. Fair enough. So you can't hold a copyright. So what they did was they put the picture in the public domain. So now everybody can have it, and nobody gets the fortune in licensing fees. Yeah, don't sue monkeys unless you know you're going to win. You ever heard of a place called Porto? Porto is in Portugal. It's on the coast, about halfway down the country. And they have a meeting, a biennial meeting. It's called Tomorrow Today, only in Portuguese, which I can't pronounce. And they're doing a whole series of pictures this year on it's environmental stuff. It's environmental impact photography, but they're including aerial and microscopic, macroscopic work, which they didn't used to do. So it's a very interesting display. If you look it up online, Porto Biennial, Porto Biennial. It's a really cool way to see how macro photographers tell complex ecologic stories using their macro photographs. Some of the displays are really impressive. I urge you to take a look at that if you're interested. There was a nanny who lived up the road from here in Chicago by the name of Vivian Meyer. You ever heard of her? Nobody had ever heard of her while she was alive because, well, she was just a nanny, and there are several of them that work in Chicago. That was from sometime in the 50s, like that's when I was born, to the 90s when she died. Well, not once was anybody aware of the fact that she was taking photographs her whole life. And whenever she wasn't working, she would go out and take photographs and put the undeveloped rolls of film in boxes in her attic or something like that. And after she died, they found a storage locker full of undeveloped film. It turns out that she was an incredibly gifted, genius level street photographer. And she has her work in virtually every museum of art and photography in the world. and she didn't get recognition for any of it and never published a single photograph while she was alive. Isn't that weird? Yeah. So this is my hope now, seeing as the hope of being famous while I was still alive apparently is getting less and less likely as time goes by. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that someday somebody will be reading an article like that about me. There was a CIA pigeon spying program back in the 1970s. Do you know that that's what our CIA is doing with your money? It was during the Cold War back in the 70s. The CIA trained homing pigeons to carry cameras on their chests. I don't think they trained them to actually hold the cameras. I mean, they just strapped them onto their chests, and they would go and fly over Soviet missile installations. And the idea was pretty good. The tech worked fine. The cameras would take the pictures, and the birds were flying all over the place, and they were getting lots of pictures. One thing that the CIA didn't consider was that if you take your pigeons and send them off into some cold nether region, don't expect them to come back, which they didn't. They all kind of wandered off and did their own thing because they were no longer able to home, presumably because they were half frozen to death. But yeah, clever idea. But I guess they'd have little droney things doing that now. But yeah, don't assume your pigeon's coming home. When was the first selfie taken? Hands up, anybody who knows. It was like in 1888. Yep, 1888. It was a British guy, Robert Cornelius. For some reason, he was getting a lot of portraits done of himself, and he was frustrated by how unreliable these portrait photographers were. So he decided he'd do it himself. So he got a lens and a camera and set it up in this room, and he had to run in front of the camera after he pulled the thingy out and just sit there for several minutes without moving a muscle, and then run back to the camera and do it. But it actually turned out great. The portrait was clearly him, and it was a nice photograph. That was the first selfie, 1888. None of this holding it on the end of a stick business either. This was one of those big cameras. The Comedy Wildlife Awards are ongoing, and you can actually, they're not. They stopped taking entries in late June, which is I wanted to mention this just because it's a yearly thing, and we have lots of you guys take some really very cool, real contenders for their macro section of the Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards. There are several of you who have definitely recently taken photographs that would be good enough to compete in that competition. So just a reminder, there's another competition I'm going to suggest a little bit later on, but the Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards for 2026, think about it. If you end up taking some photographs that show humorous or funny macro subjects, think about submitting them to that. All right, during World War II, there was a French resistance member, Pierre Seal, who took a captured Nazi soldier, a prisoner, and positioned him next to a French woman, a local woman, and made it look like they were just chit-chatting, having a nice time. And somehow he got this image, the resistance guy got this image delivered to the Nazi press with some kind of a false caption on it. And the Germans liked the picture so much, they started using it as propaganda, unaware that the soldier in the photograph was actually a prisoner of war, and that it was absolutely not what they thought it was. So yeah, it's kind of an old-fashioned version of the modern day deep fake stuff, but in this case it sounds reasonable. The other thing I want to tell you about was there is a guide coming out, Live Science, is an online organization that releases an annual best macro lenses guide. It's not dissimilar to the best lenses guide I gave you guys a few weeks ago, but it is a very in-depth and thorough article. The reason I mention it is they cover all the new Sonys and Canons, Fujis, Nikons, Olympus, and everything. But if you are ready to take the plunge and you're thinking about getting a new camera, this is bargain days, prime bargain days at Amazon. So between 2 days ago and tomorrow, or is it today? Tomorrow's the last day. So some of the discounts there are deep. So now would be the time to look at the cameras, pick out the one that you want, and go check it out on Prime Day to see if you can get a real killer bargain. If you do go over to Amazon to do that, please use one of my links. Any one of them will do to get there. That would be helpful for the channel. Okay, the North American Nature Photography Association, this is the other one I wanted to tell you about. The NANPA has announced that it's accepting entries from the last day of this month through August 7th. So July 31st to August 7th for its annual showcase. And one category that they've added is macro and micro wildlife. So if you win, if you get recognized in this competition, you end up getting splashed all over Petapixel and Expressions and other online publications. So definitely a great way to get some exposure if you're interested. So that's the NANPA, N-A-N-P-A, macro category for their annual competition. And they're accepting entries from July 31st until August 7th. Did you know that Kodak had one piece of equipment in their well, where was their place? In Rochester? I think it was in Rochester, where they had their factories and what have you. They had a piece of equipment in one of their factories that was put there to help them test whether unexposed film was susceptible to damage by ionizing radiation. That's a reasonable thing to want to know if you're going to test film to see if it can withstand radiation. You probably need a way to expose it to radiation. So I know what you're thinking, that they probably bought one of those old foot x-ray machines that they used to poison our feet with as children, or some other electron gun from the top of an electron microscope to test with the film. But no, they didn't. They have a nuclear reactor underneath their buildings in Rochester, a real nuclear reactor that was installed by the US government. And it was there from the mid-1970s until 2007, when it was dismantled. You know, the city didn't even know that it was there. It was like their own private nuclear reactor. That's a bit nuts, but yeah, that's Kodak for you. So yeah, it got me thinking though. Can you DIY a nuclear reactor? I'll look into that. I'll look into it. Skylab, 1973. One of the astronauts, Owen Garriott, went to a lot of trouble and bought a bunch of Hasselblads that he wanted to take up to space for doing documentary stuff. But he got so carried away with his photography that NASA threatened canning him for using up too much film. Seriously. Now, of course, his pictures fill up all of the NASA official press materials, and some of his work is some of the best that's ever been taken. Check him out, Owen Garriott from Skylab days. But yeah, there you go. How often do you think this happens? It was back in 1913, so yeah, it was a long time ago. I've never heard of this happening since. There were two press photographers who showed up at the same venue in Berlin to shoot some dignitary that was arriving, and they were on either side of the guy with their cameras all set up, and yeah, they both took the picture at exactly the same second as the dignitary walked out of the line of fire, but they ended up with two shots from two cameras a distance apart where both of them had their shutters open at the same time. So it's basically a camera that took a picture of a camera that took a picture of a camera. Not that many cameras in there, but yeah, I thought that would be hard to do, but yep, it happened. 1913. 5 fun DIY macro projects to try at home. Whose idea was this? Adaptalux. They have come out with a booklet of macro projects that I thought were, you know, some of them were fairly fun. Some of them seemed a bit trite, but yeah, they had photographed kitchen utensils. Well, we've already done that, I think, several times. Lego figures using probe lenses. Okay, you could do that. Light painting eggs. Now, I don't know if by that they mean eggs that are able to do light painting, or yeah, I don't know what they mean by it. Pollen at 10x and smoke. A lot of this is stuff we've done in the competition before, but if you're into macro DIY projects, go over to Adaptalux's site and look up their DIY, fun DIY projects for macro photography. And they'll probably try to talk you into buying an Adaptalux spaghetti monster illuminator while you're over there. So all interesting stuff. I guess the last thing that you shouldn't leave here without knowing was back in the day, the US would take pictures of Russia from almost in space using U-2 spy planes. You think I'm a bit fixated on spying this week? Not really. It's just they seemed like funny stories. But anyway, they had all these classified pictures, but some of them were declassified eventually and released to museums to see if they wanted to display them. And apparently a fairly famous museum and the head curator there came across this picture, not knowing anything about where it had come from, and was writing about it and praising it as one of the most exciting kind of avant-garde concept photographs that he'd ever seen. You know, he thought it was a piece of high art and was raving about the composition and everything. Turned out it was just an aerial photograph of somewhere. It wasn't art at all. It was just a military document. So a bit embarrassing, but I get the point. I mean, I think a lot of that aerial stuff is pretty gorgeous as well. Well, we're out of time. Can you believe it? That's a lot of... This is the problem, you see. The hour's gone, and here I am still talking. But I am going to... I'm going to go through your comments, and hopefully Alistair will give me a copy of them so that I can go through them all. And what we'll do is I will think it through, and then next week I'll be doing my streams on Tuesday and Thursday as always, and then the following week I will do Tuesday before I leave town on Wednesday. So between those three days I will give you what we're going to do next, and it will be for a trial. If we don't like it, we don't have to keep doing it, but if it makes things better, then that's a good thing, because I'm all about that. Well, this was fun. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope you'll stick around for the next 300 programs, because I think we probably have it in us, and I certainly would like to do it. I've got at least that many things I can talk about. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow if you can make it. No, not tomorrow. Saturday. Saturday's after tomorrow. Right, yeah. Saturday for After Stack. I meant to ask Bud, because I saw that he was here, what we were talking about tomorrow, but I didn't ask. So there you go. You guys are all chit-chatting about building a nuclear reactor, so I better get off before I get put on the list as well. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for coming by, and I will see you in a day or two. Thanks, Alistair. Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Bud. And everybody else.